Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. A very warm welcome to Sangat Television. I'm your host, Karamjit Singh, Thind. I'm from Kalgita Trust, UK. The program today is all about Educate to Save program. Educate to Save was brought together by Sant Baba Iqbal Singh Ji from Baru Sahib and Sardar Jitendra Singh Ji Uppal from Australia. It's all about educating people or children from disadvantaged economic backgrounds of Punjab. Sadh Sangat Ji, let me just give you a little quotation from a very prominent Indian about the state of India and especially the Punjab. He says, India is not, as people keep calling it, an underdeveloped country, but rather in the context of its history and its cultural heritage, it is a highly developed one in an advanced state of decay. His view applies aptly to Punjab. Punjab, the land of the Indus Valley civilization, where man's early experiment with agriculture, all kinds of innovation took place in the Punjab. Punjab today is indeed in a state of decay. But the challenge of reversing that process has been taken up not by government, not by the private sector, but by a unique NGO from India. That unique NGO is led by Sant Baba Iqbal Singh Ji from Baru Sahib. His recently published book, Baba Iqbal Singh Ji, A Mission to Reboot Punjab through Value-Based Education, is now available on the market. It addresses many of those issues. But as far as today's program for Educate to Save is concerned, the program has got a number of partnership schools and institutions which have partnered together to address the issues. And today we are indeed privileged and honored that Akal Academy's Sardar Ravinder Singh Kohli, part of the leadership team of Baru Sahib, is here with us. Sadh Sangat Ji, please give him a warm welcome.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Bhai Sahib Ji, I have mentioned Baba Iqbal Singh Ji, his mission.
That's right.
How he is addressing the challenge that India and Punjab is facing today. Can you give us a short synopsis as to what that mission is?
That's an interesting question, and this was the same question that I used to ask him 13 years back when I was joining Baru Sahib. Over the period, I realized with experience that what Babaji's mission is something of a visionary, something which is very foresighted compared to what the local leadership or the political leadership or the religious leadership in India has. He knows and he is working on the grassroots level to actually meet those challenges, the issues that the youth of the rural areas are facing, and they are getting sidelined from the economic development of the country. People say India is a booming economy. I'm sorry, go to the rural areas, you don't see any boom there. These children, these rural youth, they are getting secluded, they are away from all this, from the advantages of this booming economy. And Babaji's mission is very simple, to bring them into the mainstream and to bring them into a kind of value-based environment where they turn into good global citizens rather than rotting away in drugs and alcohol. And this is what his mission is all about, bringing education to the doorstep of the rural poor.
So the mission addresses the key issue where the child is developed into a future employee with all the values that should come on board.
See, I would rather add another word to that. Not only as employee, we have turned out many leaders out of these schools. We have one student called Montek Singh Thind. Fortunately, he shares the same name of yours. He comes from Ratia village in Haryana. His father owns 4 acres of farm. That's it. Never has traveled in an aeroplane. And this guy, young kid, has been picked up by Casa Colorado Boulder University to be trained as an astronaut out of 18 children all across the world based on his SAT scores.
Incredible.
That's the kind of platform that Babaji is providing to these children.
Now that's interesting actually. Sadh Sangat is very aware, the UK Sikh population is very aware of Akal academies. I think if you can reflect on the recent report by KPMG India on the Akal academies, that will throw some light as to what their findings were.
Yeah, that's again an interesting question. We have a target, a mandate given by Babaji to open 500 schools in the near future. And when we say 500 schools, we actually wanted to know whether the market is ready for 500 schools, whether a market exists for such number of schools, whether our schools itself would poach upon each other. So these are the kind of doubts and the questions that we used to have in our mind. So when we hired KPMG for this study, we realized that what they came up with was fantastic. They segregated our financial information and showed it to us that 60% of our schools were profitable and 20% were making losses and 20% would be profitable in another 2 to 3 years. So it's not a rosy picture for any growing organization when you say 40% of their schools either don't make profits or they bleed. So it saps away all the revenue of the other schools. That was one. Number 2, they suggested to us to create a hub and spoke model. It was again interesting. Presently we have 129 schools and all are slated to become senior secondary schools till we call K-12. K-12 is kindergarten to class 12. They suggested that we should build the new schools as feeder schools for the existing schools. So that primary schools can be opened in cluster of villages where very young children travel and they don't need 8 hours schooling, they just need 4 hours schooling and they can come back early. And when they grow up, they can shift over to middle schools. From middle schools, they can progress to the senior secondary schools. And this is the hub and spoke model which they have suggested. We have started working on it. Presently, we are not opening any schools till the next 2 years as a policy, till we stabilize the present schooling structure that we have. And after this, we'll again restart opening more schools.
It's interesting in the book, Babaji's book, the KPMG report says that 67% of the schools are profitable as part of those 129, 130 schools. 20% of the schools, 20% of the children receive free education.
That's right.
How is this managed? What a remarkable number.
That is right. And I believe Babaji's vision is to bring in as many children as possible from the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe and from the lower income group category. These are the children who are taking the brunt of the social cancer that is gripping Punjab right now. These are the children that are rotting away. The future is getting wasted away. And as a community, I personally feel, it's my personal opinion, I may be wrong, but it's my personal opinion that as a community we have failed our children. And those are the children in the villages that we have failed.
It's interesting, that it's a very successful model, the Akal Academy model, yet its fee structure is only half of other private schools. How does it manage that?
See, I would not say exactly half, but yes, we are costlier than around 60% of the schools and we are cheaper than 40% of the schools, to put it rightly, and this is as per the KPMG report as well. The whole idea is that the administrative cost of the Akal Academies is very, very low. We have a lot of staff, people like me, and we are 160 such volunteers who devote full time all our energy and time to the Kalgita Trust, and we do not take any remuneration. And such people actually bring down the cost, the working cost and the administrative cost of the schools. That's a great support for the organization.
It's interesting, as far as Akal academies are concerned, Kalgita Trust is concerned, its funding model is to a large extent dependent on donations.
That's it.
And I think whatever the public, the Sangat, anyone donating anything to any organization must understand the health, the financial health, and also the professional health of that organization. I see recently, in fact I read in the book, that Akal Academies has courted CRISIL, the rating agency, to make an appraisal of the institution, its professionalism, its sustainability. Perhaps you can tell the viewers a little about CRISIL, who CRISIL is, and the ratings that they have, ranking they have given Akal Academies of A3 plus, and the longer term ranking of triple B stable. If you can reflect on that, please.
CRISIL, Mr. Thind, is a government recognized rating agency that rates organizations, institutions, companies and charities basis their financial and management health. And they also rate our ethical values as well. You will be surprised to know, it somewhat pains me, I'm not boasting about this because I feel pained when I say we are the only Sikh charity in the whole country which has been rated by CRISIL. And this chain of schools is the only Sikh chain of schools which has been rated by CRISIL.
I think in the world.
I believe so.
Yeah,
I believe so. In India, you cannot borrow more than 25 crore worth of rupees from the banks unless until you are CRISIL rated. And triple B plus for a long-term funding, for a long-term debt, is supposed to be, I believe, if I put a comparison, it is better than Anil Ambani's rating.
Okay. Indeed, I think you're quite right. Yeah, indeed. According to the book again, the higher ranking and rating that is accommodated to Akal Academies, there are three major points that are picked up. The first one is highly experienced board of trustees and management board. Can you, Mr. Kohli, please reflect on that a little so that the viewers can have some idea what KPMG or SIL, the rating agency, says that Akal Academies have got a highly experienced board of trustees and management board.
See, I believe that experience, management skills and these kind of skills, they come from the top of the pyramid. Baba Iqbal Singh retired as agriculture director from Himachal Pradesh government. He brought in a lot of knowledge, lot of skills of managing people in his department. He remained as a bureaucrat with the government of Himachal and in a non-Sikh state. So that really brought in the skills that the organization wanted to in its growing years. Next was Dr. Khem Singh Gill. He himself was the Vice Chancellor of Punjab Agriculture University, a Padma Bhushan decorated scientist. After that, Dr. Ravinder Singh and Dr. Neelam Kaur. Dr. Ravinder Singh was an associate professor in Maulana Azad Medical College, New Delhi. And at the peak of his career, he chose to take a sabbatical, or rather he resigned. He burnt his bridges, as he reports. He burnt all his bridges, came over to Badu Sahib and started handling the trust affairs. Today he is the director of all schools. He is the secretary of the trust, and he is an MBBS MD. His wife is a master surgery in eye, and she again brings in a lot of knowledge and wealth.
An eye surgeon.
Eye surgeon. Okay. And she is the principal of the Akal Academy, Badu Sahib. This is amazing how Babaji and this organization manages to attract talent. Dr. B.S. Sekhon, he is from Washington. Dr. M.S. Atwal, Manmohan Singh Atwal, 5 master's degrees. Dr. H.S. Taliwal, he is called as the encyclopedia of biotechnology in India. So these are the people, the lineage is educationists. It all starts from Sant Teja Singh ji. Sant Teja Singh in 1912 was Harvard educated. It's rare to see. I'm sorry, I don't want to compare. I don't want to draw any comparisons. But I always say, here's my Baba who brings in education langar. He brings in langar for education, for schools. He's not those Baba, not a dera, where they say कि मेरा कमंडल चुको तो मेरी सेवा करो.
It's interesting that in our last annual report of Kalgita Trust UK, there was a section on entitled "The Rich and Powerful Educational Heritage of the Sikh People." That's
right.
Kalgita Trust.
That's Kalgita.
Because we simply went back to Sant Baba Atar Singh Ji, who laid the foundation stone for Hindu Banaras University.
Look at his vision.
Yeah, look at his
vision. There was a time when sending girls to schools was a taboo.
Yeah.
At that point of time,
absolutely,
Sant Atar Singh Ji built a women's college, a girls' degree college in Mastwana.
Yeah.
So that was his kind of vision. He started opening more and more schools at that point of time.
No, I think it's fascinating, and when you look at asking Sant Baba Teja Singh Ji to come to the UK and to go to the United States of America, is fascinating. And when we look at Sant Baba Teja Singh Ji, a Cambridge graduate, was at UCL, set up our first Gurdwara, Shepherd's Bush, and we ought to know that this is the rich educational heritage.
That's right.
This is all the time when Bhai Udham Singh was here. You know, the history with America, to be at Harvard, is also very respectable. Right. And to give the Indians the right to settle in Canada, where we have 5 ministers in the present government, I think the credit really goes to Sant Baba Teja Singh.
I think the Asians owe this credit to Sant
Baba Teja Singh Ji. The next point, Kohli Sahib Ji, is for that high ranking, which I've noted, is the capability to attract international and national donations. It's a capacity that Kalgita Trust has. What are these networks, partnerships or alliances that we have where donors feel totally engaged and committed to Kalgita Trust?
See, one particular thing, Mr. Singh, I would like to highlight here is, let us not ever think that these donations make our schools run. One of the key factors for the success of the Kalgita Trust, Badu Sahib, is that there was a unwritten rule that Sant Teja Singh laid down way back in 1963 before he passed away, and that is being followed to the letter and spirit till date. That rule is all donations will be used in capital expenditure for raising infrastructure, for building schools, for buying cement and sand and gravel and MS iron, but not for running the schools. He laid out his idea of self-sustainable model of schools at that point of time when capex and opex was never a terminology used in business in those days. That has been followed diligently till date, and that has been the key success of this organization till date. Whatever donations we take from you, we use it for building schools, not for running the schools.
Not the operational cost, but more capital expenditure.
If 20% students are studying free or subsidized, the rest 80% will pay for that. And every school takes around 6 to 8 years to get profitable. When we generate more profits, we build more schools. That's the simple formula that we have laid. And I believe there have been 2 big contributions of Baba Iqbal Singh Ji to the Sikh community. One, he gave us an alternative of donating beyond Gurdwaras. Our thoughts were very fixated, our ideas were very much blocked. It was a mental block with us that whenever you want to build a Gurdwara, people are so passionate about it. If you talk of schools, people are not as passionate as they would be for a Gurdwara. So he gave an alternative to the Sikh community, and it has worked for us. Number 2, which biggest contribution of his I believe is, if you look at the standards of education in Punjab, I can bet with you, wherever Akal academies have opened up, the levels of competition in that area has risen. Not only the quality has improved, but the competition among schools in that particular area have improved because of the existence of Akal academies in those areas.
Sikhi schoolan ch vasdi hai.
Exactly.
Schoolan ch vad sakdi hai.
Exactly.
That's basically. In fact, I summed it up as the third point was the risk profile very low gearing, and a healthy debt protection matrix.
That's right.
There's very low borrowing.
That's right.
That has kept, because income is there, sustainable.
Income is sustainable, the revenues are growing, we are not only dependent on donations for the growth. See, if you look at our recent past, very recent history, we came to the world begging for Akal University Guru Ki Kashi, which was Guru Gobind Singh Ji's fourth bachan, left unattended by the Sikh community for 308 years. Baba Iqbal Singh Ji, at the age of 90, decides that he wants to put mortgage every single thing, including himself, to make this dream come true.
Yeah.
So we had two options: either we go and raise funds and wait for people to donate and then go and build this university. The government did not give us that much of time. We were given 30 months, and to raise an infrastructure of 650,000 square feet of built space and verified by the government team, we were given 30 months to build this. We had no other option than to go and borrow it from the bank. We borrowed 108 crores. 108 crores. Today, the outstanding loan is 70 crores. Today.
How many million is that in US dollars or sterling?
In sterling, it's roughly around
7-8 million.
No, if you divide it by 85, so I believe it's around 45 million pounds.
45 million, very high. The point I noted was by the rating agency. What the rating agency comment was, they are confident that Kalgita Trust will maintain and safeguard its established position of strength.
Yes.
They must have seen something in this organization that it has got a sustainable model.
Yes.
What is the strength?
I should tell you, if you look at the model of Akal Academies, it is very unique and different from the other chain of schools. Since we are in rural areas, we do not open schools like they do in cities. We do not go there with and huge building is created, and till class 8 the buildings are ready, and then we apply to the CBSE. We don't do it like that in Akal Academies. We build it only till class 2 and let it graduate every year. So over the period in 6 to 7 years, it reaches the secondary level or the senior secondary level. That is the perpetuity of the growth that we are supposed to see. This growth rate, the banks are very confident, will never stop, because we have to keep on adding classrooms every year. The schools might remain 129, but if you look at the strength, a few years back it was only 45,000. Today the student strength is 65,000. We expect in another couple of years we should have 100,000 students with us. So this is the growth that the banks look at.
One of the things mentioned again in the book was that financial flexibility. There is an element of donations, which plays a significant part in running, in the not so much the operational cost as you said, but more in the capital expenditure, the building cost. Maybe not so much the short term or medium term, but in longer term, how are we going to move away from this dependency, or to some extent the fatigue of donations, because the younger generation sees things a little different. Is there a plan in place that will take over?
That's a very interesting question. We have 3 phases of growth designed for Akal Academies, and presently what we are seeing is the first phase of growth, which is building around 150 odd schools, senior secondary schools in the state of Punjab. Why 150 is the one query that comes to mind. It is because there are 150 blocks in Punjab. So we desire to have one school in every block of Punjab. That is number 1. As far as the growth is concerned, the next phase would see the influx of more schools, which are primary and middle schools. And this is where the moment we have all these schools, 129 schools turning profitable, we'll have ample revenue to build those middle and primary schools. Third stage is where we see is we wish to increase the percentage of the free and the subsidized students that are studying with us. It really gives us shivers when we see the grassroots level of Punjab, incomes are decreasing, rapidly decreasing, families are breaking away, drugs are taking away breadwinners in the families, and we have lot of children to be taken care of. If we don't, a social disaster is looming in front of us. So Babaji's desire is that in the third phase we should be focusing on taking in as many children as possible under free and the subsidized programs.
It looks like the very fabric of the state is disturbed.
Yes.
Social structures are shaky, and this vision of 500 schools by 2025, I think is a unique vision. We have not seen in a country by the private sector or the public sector doing anything like this. This strategy of taking over failing schools is mentioned in the book. Yes, I think we have heard about that. There are a number of small operators who are ambitious to do something, and one has always said that motion should not be confused with action. This Babaji's program has been action-driven program.
True.
And what is this policy of taking over failing schools? What's the strategy?
This was a strategy that was suggested by KPMG in the study. We did give it a try. Mm-hmm. We spoke to the state government. Mm-hmm. You will be surprised, Mr. Thin, that after independence, a very few schools have been added by the state government. I'm not blaming the governments at all.
Since 1947?
Since 1947. At that point of time, Punjab had 11,960 primary schools. Mm-hmm. Today it has 13,032 primary schools. At that point of time, we had around 2,000 odd senior secondary schools. Today we have around 2,500 senior secondary schools. Punjab has 12,581 villages, but the growth that Punjab has seen is in liquor vends. Today it has 12,000 plus liquor vends in Punjab, which is again a shocking thing. And if we just look at the government and start blaming them, that's not fair. As a community, we also have failed our children. I will again repeat this. Why? Because in those 12,581 villages, we have built 29,000 gurdwaras. I would have been more happy. I'm not saying we should not have built gurdwaras. Please don't mistake me for this. I am saying I would have been more happy if we would have equal number of primary schools in the state. This is where we have lacked focus. We tried talking to the governments. We realized that their schools come with lot of liabilities. Those liabilities are untrained, unqualified teaching staff, non-teaching staff, and they become a liability for any organization that would take over the schools.
Lot of baggage.
So we decided not to get into that at all.
That's interesting. It is a tall order, 500 schools by 2025. There's also something mentioned in the book about management contracts with about 150 private schools by 2020. Is that strategy going to be implemented or?
Yes, that is again part of the phase 3 that we would want to see. We have already started building our own private curriculum. See, we have a problem. In India, when we are operating, we have to be affiliated to the CBSE or the ICSE or the International Baccalaureate. So we are now merging IB curriculum with the CBSE curriculum and preparing our own curriculum. The idea for this is, the day we have all 150 schools turned into senior secondary schools, we will build our own board of Akal, Board of Secondary Education. And this is when we will be taking in other schools as affiliated to Akal, Board of Secondary Education. That is part of the phase 3.
I was going to come to that, but I think we'll dwell a little bit more on that further down the interview. I was at Baru Sahib this July and very impressed with the infrastructure, the built environment, with a population of about 5,000, very well built, what we call the built environment, very professionally built. Can you reflect on the capacity there, the capability? And one person we met at Baru Sahib was Jagjit Singh ji. Affectionately, I think is addressed as Kaka Veer ji.
Kaka Veer ji.
What I saw was impressive because my own background is Malaysia, very hilly environment, mountainous, and to build along hill slopes is a unique expertise of very few builders. Perhaps you can reflect a little on that, on the capability of such a leadership within Akal Academies in the built environment.
Yeah. Construction is one of our major auxiliary focus areas. And Kakaviji looks after construction. He's a uneducated and totally hands-on, pragmatic engineer, I would say. Now all the buildings that we are building in Badusab, creating in Badusab, are being built with the gradient of the mountainous slopes.
Yes.
And we have an architect department with us. We have our own team of engineers with us who make sure that the construction quality and the designs are totally in sync with the time of today.
It's very impressive. I mean, even the roads very well paved.
Yeah.
Honestly, this building on the slopes were very, very impressive.
And it's a very vertically integrated construction unit.
It's incredible.
The paving bricks that you saw, the hollow bricks that you see, and the Akal University is all built with hollow bricks.
Yeah.
All these factories are run by us. We produce our own bricks.
Yes, I saw that on site. You're quite right. But the whole built environment seems to be in harness with nature.
That's right.
That was what was impressive. And perhaps you can say a little about how natural energy is being harnessed to run the organization.
That's again a good question.
Yeah.
Badu Sahib is soon going to be rated as a solar village by the Ministry of Renewable Energy. We're trying for that. Reason is, since the past 20 years now, we have been using solar cookers. Now we have one of the largest SPV plant in North India, which is of 300 kilowatts, which provides 1/3 of the electricity that Badu Sahib uses. We are building a very large solar, it's called steam generator, and this generator is going to be ready up and coming by around January this 2017. Overall, 1/3 of the total energy being consumed in Badu Sahib comes from solar energy or renewable energy. So this is the reason we wish to get it certified as a solar village.
It's fascinating. We were told that you can cook about 50 kg of rice in about 40-50 minutes.
Yes, that's right.
That's very clean cooking.
Another interesting area of development for us is the rooftop of Akal University, Guru Ki Kashi. 500 kilowatts of solar electricity will be generated from this rooftop. The proposal is up and we are going for tenders, and we should see it start getting built by January 2017. So by March we expect it to be up and running.
Well, even in the UK today, I attended one of the major political party conference in Birmingham only about a few weeks ago, and the emphasis was on technology and innovation. Those were the key things for success in the 21st century, immediate
That's
success. Right. And I think Akal Academies seems to be blessed with that.
Another area of technology I would like to highlight here, Mr. Thin. Although all the schools that we have built are running in villages, deep rural pockets of Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan and Himachal Pradesh. But you will be surprised to know that we have around more than 2,300 smart board classrooms running in these schools. This is one of the largest chain of smart board classrooms being run in the country. We have our unique way of touchscreen boards, where I have studied in a school, in central school, where we do not even have proper blackboards and dusters. Today these kids, they go and on the touchscreen they build their PowerPoints and they run.
I was going to come to that actually, the role of technology in Akal Academies, because this program is Educate to Save, and I'm sure our donors, our supporters would like to know the standard of these schools. And I think what was mentioned, as you rightly mentioned, the smart boards, and we are already talking about paperless classrooms,
Yes.
e-books. Can you just expand a little on that?
And since I already mentioned earlier that we are slating to build our own board of secondary education in the future, we are planning to have a central studio in Chandigarh from where we'll beam all our classes directly to the rural villages. The moment we have internet connectivity in those rural pockets of 4G quality, we are going to immediately work on that.
That's Wi-Fi. I mean, that was the next question. I mean, the challenges of Wi-Fi. I mean, how are these classrooms going to function? What's the status at the moment of Wi-Fi availability in villages?
Presently, we have 2G available there, and for good video quality in classes, we need 4G. And as per the government parameters, which we have come to know, by 2018, they should have the 4G available in all the villages all across Punjab. And that is the time when we can go live with our classes. Imagine one studio, one professor or a teacher sitting in Chandigarh, and all the live classes are being held in all across the schools, and children can interact with a team of teachers sitting in the studio. There will be not one, there will be a team of teachers sitting and addressing the questions and queries.
No, your statement is not just rhetoric, because recently my wife was in Punjab, near Kapurthala is our village. She was actually speaking from our village on WhatsApp. It was like as though she's next door.
That's right.
As though she was next door and she was speaking to me in London. So purely again for the benefit of the viewers, that it's not rhetoric. These are facts which can be experienced by everybody. The other thing that was impressive in the book was the sort of partnerships that Akal Academy forges. These are very powerful partnerships for longer term sustainability. And one of your educational partner is the Pearson Group.
Yeah.
For the benefit of the viewers, the Pearson Group is a very large FTSE company which owned the Financial Times, which after many years, this year got taken over by a Japanese organization. Pearson Group is actually involved with the universities in the UK.
Yeah.
It has got tie-ups with Cambridge and other top institutions, and it is very pleasing and quite patronizing in a way, in a nice way, that Akal Academies has forged this sort of linkages with global institutions. Is there anything you wish to add to that?
See, as far as partnerships are concerned, Pearson is just one of them. I'll give you a list of them. University of Cambridge. The teachers training course being run in Chandigarh is under University of Cambridge and being funded by the Ram Todd Foundation of Cambridge University. Other than this, we have McGill University of Canada, one of the very top ranking universities, which is again a partner of ours in nursing and teachers training. Drexel University in Washington, and one university from Israel, I don't recall the name. But these are all the universities which keep on sending faculty only on a partnership basis without any charges to us, considering that we are a charity NGO.
This is a social engineering model.
That's it.
And I think only a visionary like Sant Baba Iqbal Singh, his team could see all this, because you do not link all this to schools that are in villages.
Oh yes, that's exciting.
Where English medium instructions are being conducted at a level, what often is said here, is the same standard at private schools in the UK, which is higher than the government schools.
Mr. Thind, IITs and IIMs in India are supposed to be top ranking institutes. Around 1,300,000 students appear for IIT entrance exams every year. 2 years back, two of our students, one got a rank of 67 All India, another got a rank of 250 All India, which is amazing. They come from very small villages where private tuitions were not the rage, and they were taking tuitions from the school teachers itself. And this is one of the model of our schools. We provide free tuitions to our students up till class 12th.
This is a real model of Sikhi, because Sikhi is all about empowerment of the weak.
That's right.
Empowerment is what I think the nation is failing on. It has not empowered its villages, especially those economically disadvantaged.
That's sad to see.
The other thing that was very impressive, Kohli Sahib, is in the book was the teacher-student ratio, which I found very impressive.
Yeah.
That the Akal Academy schools, the ratio is 20 students to 1 teacher, whereas nationally in India is 45 to 1.
Yeah, national in India is 45:1.
Yeah.
CBSE wants us to have 35:1. We on our home have chosen 20:1. And we are maintaining that ratio, although it's a huge cost on the salary that we have to pay. But yes, it does help us because our schools are different from the city schools. We don't run 5.5-hour schools, we run 8-hour schools. And tuitions are provided free of cost in the last hour. The students leave their satchels and bag on the desk and they go back empty-handed. And this model is not to be seen anywhere else in the country at the moment.
This is again for the benefit of NRIs.
That's right.
What I saw in July with the International Baccalaureate establishment in Baru Sahib is eye-opener. It's simply an eye-opener. With me was a team of visitors from Singapore, Malaysia, who were looking at setting up an Akal Academy in Malaysia. And we were given a guided tour of the IB unit at Baru Sahib. I asked, there were some children aged probably 5 or 6. Some were sleeping in a room, some were playing, some were on a smart board, and there were few sitting around the table. And I asked one boy, "Where are you from?" "I'm from the United States of America." Immediately, a girl next to him said, "I'm from Chandigarh." A boy spoke next to her, "I'm from Delhi." So this was the sort of interaction, diverse interaction, where global Sikhs are interacting
True.
with Sikhs from all over India.
True.
This is where education is. London's uniqueness as a centre, or UK's education system, is simply because it has got diverse students from all over the world. And this sort of harmonization of the Sikhs from all over the world, I think the IB school was very, very impressive. Its fees is really, in the book it states, 1/3 of competitors.
Yeah.
It's
That's
a very
right.
futuristic curriculum. You mentioned the IB CBSE,
Merger.
the future board of examiners. Can you dwell a little bit about that? Because in July we were told that the future strategy is that all Akal Academy schools will be IB.
Yeah.
think
When
that
we say
sounds
all the Akal Academy schools will be IB, I again would like to reiterate here that CBSE is a simple learning exercise. It's a learning by rote. You read and you remember, you memorize, you cram everything, and that's the standard of CBSE education. In IB is more exciting, more engaging, and more inquisitive for the students. What we have felt is that IB is extremely expensive to run. That is the reason we are building our own curriculum, where we are merging CBSE and IB together and forming our new curriculum. And yes, one key important part of that curriculum would be the Gurmat studies, the Sikh history, where we are facing a lot of problems because CBSE does not really appreciate our students spending 2 hours every day in these areas. ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਪਾਠ ਕਿਉਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ, 1 ਘੰਟਾ ਕਿਉਂ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ. So these are the kind of small interferences that we want to move out of in the future, and we want to safeguard our mission in this manner.
It's fascinating that you said an organization like CBSE is saying ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪਾਠ ਕਿਉਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ. I'm on board a very important organization in the UK which looks after religious education. Strangely, almost about 25% of the state schools do not offer religious education when it is mandatory that they must offer it.
That's right.
Humanity seems to be lost somewhere about value-based education. somebody rightly said that if we only had value-based educations, we followed the teachings of Guru Granth Sahib Ji, which is simply a handbook of life.
True.
Nothing spiritual as such, but a handbook telling you how to conduct yourself in life. If that is correctly followed, you can be a better doctor, better engineer, better architect. You have more respect for the environment. As somebody said again, you don't need prisons then. You don't need hospitals then.
True.
Perhaps you don't even need policemen then. Perhaps it's, what's that land called? Which is in heavens. We'll have
it's an imaginary place that right now.
But I think Akal academies are heading in that direction. But it is the input of great Mahapurukhs like Baba Iqbal Singh Ji. It has been a journey of 30 years, Kohli Sahib Ji.
That's right.
Can you, we're coming towards the end of the program. I think we need to pay a tribute again to this very rich and powerful educational heritage that the Sikh people are bestowed with. Please do reflect on this, at least this 30-year journey, and perhaps a little bit before that.
Yeah, I would say it has been very satisfying for all of us, especially Baba Iqbal Singh, when he sees his young rural students getting into IAS officers, becoming IPS officers, getting into Indian Institute of Management, becoming scientists, researchers, doctors, engineers, software engineers and whatnots. What common thread is running through all these kids is they are trying to be good global citizens, good human beings first. And this is what Sikhi is all about. And we have had instances where few students have moved away from Sikhi, but we also are proud of the ones who haven't moved away from Sikhi. And we have noted, we have observed that the society, the whole 360-degree society has to play a role into a student's development. It is not only the school which is 100% responsible for the child's development. The family plays a part, the neighbors play a part, the social surroundings play a part. Unfortunately, our research shows that the parents of our students are not really very optimistic about their kids retained in Sikhi. वो कहते हैं तुसीं बाबे बनना है ਆਪਾਂ जगत के हिसाब नाल फैशन के हिसाब नाल चलना है आजकल की जो ट्रेंड है ट्रेंड के मुताबिक असीं फैशनेबल रहना है this thought process is not right. This is very fractured. In the end, I would like to leave one message through you, Mr. Tin. Akal Academies, Kalgidhar Trust, Badu Sahib is an organization for the Sangat, by the Sangat, made by the Sangat altogether up till years, all these years. We are in a serious debt trap right now. We are having a loan of 70 crores from Punjab Sindh Bank, borrowed at the rate of interest of 13.25%, which is extremely high. And this interest and this debt is actually choking us. I'm not saying we are in serious trouble, but yes, most of our profits which would have gone to build more schools are now getting sapped up by the bank's interest.
Sure.
Since this fund was used for building the Akal University Guru Ki Kashi, my request through Sangat TV and all the viewers is that we as stakeholders of the community, we as stakeholders of the Kalgidhar Trust Badu Sahib should come forward and create some kind of an endowment fund where we at least bail out Badu Sahib from this debt that we have, so that more infrastructure can be created for our kids, faster, better, efficient and very ethical infrastructure can be created for our kids. Let us not waste our resources in passive and wasteful expenditure like Sone diya palkiyan and all those stuff, marbles, sangmarmar, langar, raja ਨੂੰ ਰਜਾ ਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਮਤਲਬ ਲੰਗਰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ। ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੁਬਾਰਕ ਕਰੀਏ, ਪਰ ਘੱਟ ਤੋਂ ਘੱਟ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਹ ਵਿਦਿਆ ਦਾ ਦਾਨ ਅਸੀਂ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਔਰ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਪਿੰਡਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, ਇਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਫੋਕਸ ਕਰੀਏ। ਮੇਰੀ ਫਿਰ ਹੱਥ ਜੋੜ ਕੇ ਰਿਕੁਐਸਟ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਸਾਰੀ ਸੰਗਤਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰਜ਼ਾ ਲਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ 70 ਕਰੋੜ ਦਾ, ਇਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਕਰਜ਼ਾ ਸਮਝ ਕੇ एक एंडोमेंट फंड क्रिएट करिए ते बड़ू साहब ने इस कर्जे तो मुक्त करिए.
Kohli Sahib ji, bulk of this loan, was it for Guru Ki Kashi?
Yes, the borrowing basically was for Guru Ki Kashi.
For Guru Ki Kashi.
Because we had a very short time window of 30 months to complete the building, and we completed it in 27 months. Thanks to the Sangat and thanks to the bank.
Well, thank you very much for sharing all that useful information,
The pleasure
which is
is
so
mine.
critical. Just in conclusion, the program is Educate to Save. Please say a few words to the local community in the UK about Educate to Save and how we would call upon their support over the successive weeks about funding the education of the very weak and downtrodden, that 20%.
That's right.
That is not just in the Kal academies, but in Khadur Sahib and all the other schools tied up with us.
Sat Sangat ji, presently we have enrolled 2,000 young kids from the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe and the lower income group for free ships and subsidized education in all our rural schools. This is a huge load on the organization, and we wish to grow this as well. We need donors, we need sponsors of these kids, and this is why Educate to Save has been formed. This program is to enable the donor and the sponsor to come in and pick up children from the website, sponsor them, and yes, we need sponsors who educate them for at least the next 14 years till they reach class 12th. After that, we'll create another program of taking these children next to the next step of higher studies. My request is, please be a part. A coffee a day is enough to educate a child for a complete year. You can understand the strength of the donation of a coffee. If you understand this small token service that you can do, you will realize what kind of satisfaction you get when this child gets educated through your coffee. My request is, each one of us should at least sponsor one child. Ask our children, ask our neighbors, ask our social circle to sponsor other children as well.
Sat Sangat ji, thank you for listening to us so patiently. And Ravinder Singh ji Kohli Sahib, thank you for making the time.
The pleasure is mine. Please
Thank
don't
you.
call me Sahib.
Thank you, sir.
I'm
But
feeling humbled.
It's
I'm just a sevadar of the community, and let me remain just a sevadar of the
Thank
community.
you, ji. But thank you for making the time to come to Sangat TV and share with us that wealth of knowledge and information about Punjab and the educational journey that Babaji has started some years ago.
We exist because of the Sangat, and I would like to thank the Sangat for this, and obviously Sangat TV as well.
Thank you, ji. And ralke boliye, Vaheguru ji ka Khalsa,
Khalsa, Vaheguru ji ki Fateh.